LinkedIn is without a doubt the best place you can use content to grow your business, and thousands of companies and personal brands are already taking advantage of the power of posting content to see an insane increase in inbound leads, all from just posting on the internet. And I personally have been able to generate some pretty insane results, like helping a startup go from $18,000 to $500,000 in ARR off the back of LinkedIn as the main marketing channel. I've helped Adam Robinson launch his LinkedIn presence from 0 to 25,000 followers in 9 months. And personally, I've built my own LinkedIn audience to over 32,000 people and used it to generate over 7 figures in revenue for my agency personally. Which is why in this video, I want to give you the exact strategy that I've used with myself and my clients to help them grow an audience on LinkedIn and generate revenue. And I'll give you the exact content calendar and 5 specific content types that you can start posting today to grow your audience and get more leads from LinkedIn. And this strategy has been proven to work across industries, whether you're a marketing agency, a B2B SaaS company, or even just a solo freelancer that wants to build their personal brand on the platform and use it to build their business. So if you're watching this video, there's a chance you might not understand why LinkedIn is so powerful. And I say that because a lot of founders and business owners tend to overlook the power of organic content. They want to jump right into paid and just put a bunch of money into advertising, spend money in, get money out. In theory, the math makes sense, but running paid, especially with no organic presence to begin with, can get really expensive really quick. This is especially true if you're in B2B and you're trying to advertise on a platform like LinkedIn. Those users tend to be more affluent and higher quality, so getting in front of them with ads tends to be more expensive. And then if you don't have an organic presence, they don't know who you are, they don't have a reason to trust you yet, so that can cause the ads to perform less efficiently and get even more expensive. And not to mention cold outbound, like cold email, cold LinkedIn messages are also getting harder and harder to execute. I'm not going to tell you they're dead, they still work, but in isolation, response rates are going through the floor. I'm hearing this from all the clients that I work with. So posting organic content to LinkedIn in particular will help you build an audience, get in front of more people, build trust with them. So they'll either come to you directly through your content, or if you want to run paid media or you want to do cold outbound, amazing. Having an organic content presence will help improve the performance of those other channels as well. So you kind of get multiple benefits here. But to succeed on LinkedIn, you've got to shift away from just viewing it as a hiring platform or a resume platform. It used to be just that, but it's very quickly evolving, or has evolved into a true social media platform that competes with Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. And the builders of the platform want people to post. They want more creators on the platform. The thing is, only 1% of people actively post. So there's a gap between where the platform wants to be and how many people are actually posting. So when this happens, what tends to happen as a result is organic reach on the platform is solid because the builders of the platform want people to use it. They want to incentivize you to post. So you have an opportunity to grow an audience effectively and get a lot of momentum. And the audience on LinkedIn is particularly desirable if you're running a B2B company like an agency or a software. Like I mentioned earlier, running paid, especially on LinkedIn, can get expensive because you tend to reach people in higher positions that are more affluent, have more money to spend. They're actual decision makers in businesses that will buy these products or services that tend to be higher ticket. So if you're selling a B2B product or service, LinkedIn is a no-brainer compared to a platform like TikTok or Instagram Reels. I'm not saying those can't work, but the effort that it takes to make TikTok work for a high-ticket B2B SaaS product is so much more than it would take to grow an audience on LinkedIn and get a predictable flow of leads through that platform. The first part of my strategy is to set up your profile in the right way. A lot of people actually don't get this correct, and that's not good, because imagine if you went mega viral. A lot of people go over to your profile. If it's blank or not set up correctly, you're not going to convert those people, those viewers, into actual followers or potential customers. So you put all this effort into creating great content, and then you just fumble the bag because your profile wasn't set up properly. The good thing is that it's not that hard to set up, and it will take you 5 to 10 minutes one time, and then you're good. So let's break down how to execute this. At a high level, you want to treat your LinkedIn profile like a landing page. You know how when you run paid ads, you direct people to a landing page. The goal is to convert those landing page visitors into customers. On LinkedIn, you post content to generate traffic, and you want to drive that traffic to your profile, and your profile should be set up to convert that traffic into followers or potentially customers. And you can set your profile up to do this on autopilot, and there's a few components. First is you want to have a clear value proposition. So when someone lands on your profile, it should be very clear why they would want to follow you. You can do this with your headline, with your banner image, with the bio that you write, with your featured links. It should be very crystal clear what the value that your target audience will get from following you is. You should also have some sort of social proof. So social proof, like a case study or testimonial, is a great way to build trust, because especially with B2B buyers, they're asking 2 questions. What's the ROI, and who else like me has used your product or service? So what's the ROI? You answer that by sharing your value proposition. Who else has used your product or service? You answer that by sharing case studies or social proof. One of my favorite ways to do this is with a featured link. On LinkedIn, you can set certain links to be featured on your profile. Having a case study or a customer testimonial be one of those links is a great way to build that social proof. So as an example of that, that. If you look at Stuart's profile here, he's a CEO at Revo. One of his featured links is a case study of their work with Hexclad, which is a 9-figure D2C company. So if someone in that ICP is landing on his profile, it's very apparent that, oh, they work with some big players. Stuart's legit. I should follow him if I want to learn about this stuff. As far as the basics of your profile, you want to have a clear profile picture like Stuart's here. Good example. Take care of your banner. I like how Stuart's here also has some social proof of the logos that Revo has worked with. You want to have your headline. The simple formula here is role plus company plus value prop line. For example, CEO at Revo, and the value prop is helping D2C brands like Hexclad, Ridge, and Kish retain customers through loyalty and referral programs, bootstrapping to $25 million in ARR and e-com SaaS. So very clear what you're getting when you follow Stuart. Another example of a good profile here, Amir from Hockey Stack. So clear profile picture, a banner image, and then you see his headline. So role at company and then value prop line. So CRO at Hockey Stack, helping B2B revenue teams create and capture more demand. And one more quick example, Bethany from SenseSpark. So again, clear profile picture, good header image with a line about the value prop of the company. And then you have your headline, co-founder and CEO at SenseSpark, AI personalized video at scale. Ultimately, your profile needs to be set up like a landing page for yourself. And in that, you need to have a healthy balance of showing your skills, your experience, and social proof, and giving someone a clear reason why they should follow you. So if you basically copy paste what I'm doing with my profile here, the way I've got it set up, or just look at some other successful founders on LinkedIn and model yours after theirs, you'll be in a good spot. Now, let me show you some different types of content that winning founders are posting on LinkedIn. So first, I want to talk to you about how I organize the content types. The best way to organize content types as a founder on LinkedIn is to think about it in terms of a content funnel. You have top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel content, and each of them serves a very specific purpose for building your audience and converting that audience into customers. So top of funnel content is going to be broader, less niche content that is meant to cast a wider net. This tends to be more like personal stories or hiring posts or more general startup or founder life content. This is less specific to your ICP, but it performs really well on LinkedIn. And this is a great way to get the algorithm on your side and just get more visibility. Next is middle of funnel content. That is more industry specific thought leadership. So you're trying to build yourself as a go-to resource for your ICP. The topics are more specific, so you're making sure that it's getting in front of and relevant to the right person. And bottom of funnel content, pretty straightforward. This is all your product content like launches, feature updates, case studies, all the stuff that's a bit more salesy. When I look at founders on LinkedIn, they usually make one of two mistakes. They either over-index on top of funnel content, and that leads to just kind of chasing followers and impressions and these vanity metrics, or they over-index on bottom of funnel content and all they post is salesy stuff, so they don't actually build an audience and they're not getting in front of new people. Both of those we want to avoid. As a recommendation, go with 10 to 20% top of funnel content, 60 to 70% middle of funnel content, and then 10 to 20% bottom of funnel content. You want the bulk of it to be middle of funnel because our goal on LinkedIn is to establish you as a go-to resource for your ideal audience. Middle of funnel content does that, and it also grows your audience. Then you can kind of sprinkle in the top of funnel content to expand your reach even more, and the bottom of funnel content to convert that reach into new customers. So say, for example, you're posting 5 times per week. You're gonna want one of those posts to be top of funnel, 3 of them to be middle of funnel, 1 of them to be bottom of funnel. Now, what type of content actually falls into those buckets? Let me walk you through this sample content calendar. The first content type you're gonna wanna post is an origin story post. So how did you start your company? What was the light bulb moment? Why did you start your company? The purpose of this is to build a narrative around what you're building. It's a great way to introduce people to your product, introduce people to you, get them kind of rooting for you, because a lot of times people don't know your backstory. They're seeing your content for the first time. So if you can tell them what really went into the decision to start your company or to start building whatever you're doing right now, it's great for building a personal connection and building trust, and it will get them wanting to follow along with you going forward. This one's a great post from Nathan about how he started his company Freckle. It's actually his second company, and that's the angle he uses in this content, which is like, hey, I sold this company, which by the way is a great hook. Then he gets into, okay, how did he start his next company? And I like here how he talks about how his original version for Freckle, his second company, is not actually how it played out. So he had to pivot again, which showing that adversity that you go through as a founder, it can feel vulnerable. And a lot of people are very hesitant to do this, but it's a great way to build connection with your audience. Also, including an image in the post is a great idea for increasing the reach and engagement. I'm seeing in real life photos perform really well right now. And here's another example for me. When I launched my software company, Bluecast, I made this post about how I finally transitioned from starting just an agency to launching a software product as well. Why I did that, why LinkedIn has been such a powerful force in my life, introducing the problem that we're solving, and then tying it in even a little bit bottom of funnel. So it's kind of top of funnel and it popped off on LinkedIn, but I introduced some bottom of funnel elements to actually convert people. And we converted quite a few users off of this post alone. And again, you'll see that I used the in real life image here, very scrappy, and it tends to perform well because it doesn't look like an ad. And that's the thing with organic content. It shouldn't look like like an ad. It should feel organic because it is. Now, the second content bucket is going to be a savable framework. One of the goals of your content should be to get it saved and shared as many times as you can. One framework I love for content strategy is thinking in Slack groups. I got this from my friend and marketer, Alex Garcia. And the idea is that you want to create content that's so good that someone in your ICP wants to share it with their team or their boss in Slack. One way to do that is to do savable framework posts. So frameworks, blueprints, playbooks, anything that you can kind of package into a very tangible thing that people can save, it's gonna do quite well. Think about all the content that you bookmark as you're scrolling the timeline, the YouTube videos that you save, or all the LinkedIn posts that you screenshot. There tends to be some sort of template or framework or something very tangible that you could use from it. That's why you're saving it. And this type of content as well also helps you break off of the platform. So if someone's sharing your post in Slack, you're getting more and more people seeing it. This is called dark social, where it's like they're not sharing it on the platform, but it's still valuable that they're sharing it directly with their team members, with their customers that could be potential customers of your product. So here's a great example from Morgan. Notice how he gives very specific steps for this thing. With these savable framework posts, you don't want to be broad with it. You want to be very specific. So start off with a hook and then get into an actual template, blueprint. You want it to be step by step. Make it as easy to understand as possible for the reader, for the viewer. And that's what's going to drive the save here. You don't want to be fluffy. You don't want to be vague because that kind of defeats the purpose, right? It's not super helpful for them to refer back to. Get as specific as you can. So is there a specific template that you find yourself using a lot in your day-to-day? Is there a specific process or framework that you've relied on over the course of your career? Share that in this type of post. Another variation of this sort of savable type of post is a tech stack post. These tend to crush on LinkedIn. They're also great because you can tag a lot of people, and when you tag people, they're gonna like and engage, and that amplifies the performance of the post. But this example from Michelle is amazing. So notice how there's a savable graphic as well. With these framework posts, I don't tend to see branded graphics perform very well on LinkedIn right now, but with these savable framework posts, including some sort of infographic that someone can screenshot, or again, if they screenshot it, share it in Slack with their friends, is a great thing to pair with this type of post. So framing something as a tech stack for X, or the tools you'll need to achieve your ideal outcome. So fill in the blank with the ideal outcome. But you see what I mean, right? You want to give someone a very tangible list of things they can save, bookmark, and share. And again, here's another example of including a savable asset with the post. So not only the text, but having an infographic or an image that is very bookmarkable. By the way, before I get into the other 3 content types that you're going to want to post on LinkedIn, I just want to mention that I have a newsletter where I share insights and blueprints and those savable frameworks on how to grow your LinkedIn presence, how to use it to generate leads for your company every single week. So I go a lot more in depth there because there's only so much I can cover in this video. It's totally free. I post it every week. So if you want to check it out, I'll drop the link in the description below. Now, the third type of post, and one of my favorites and the most effective to get in front of more people on LinkedIn, is an industry hot take. One of the problems that a lot of companies will run into on LinkedIn is they're sterile. There's no differentiation. They don't have a true reason why someone should follow them and believe in their mission. Because a lot of times, especially with the type of people that post on LinkedIn, they want to play it safe. They're very corporate. So everything sounds super professional. And think about the type of person that uses all these big words and fancy terms to sound smart. That's how a lot of LinkedIn content sounds. And one of the easiest ways to get in front of more people and stand out in that noise is to actually have a differentiated point of view. So what is something that you can't stand? What is something that you believe that most other people in your industry won't? That, although it sounds risky, is the best way to get in front of more people on LinkedIn. And what you'll find is that the people that you attract with this type of content tend to be your super fans. And yes, you're gonna repel some people. Some people won't love your take or won't agree with it. That's fine. Those people weren't gonna pay you anyway. Now, the key thing to understand here is that you don't want to just go at people for the sake of going at people. You want to have a very calculated hot take. It should be industry specific. So you could go after a specific competitor. I've seen companies do this, and it's a riskier strategy. Like for example, Beehive just went after ConvertKit recently. Some people loved it, some people hated it. Going after a larger incumbent is one variation of this. And then the other variation is just going after an idea. So like the whole X is dead framework, that's sort of an example of it. It's a bit played out, but cold email is dead, paid ads are dead. Using that whole angle of going after an idea that you disagree with or a practice that you disagree with in an industry is a great way to stand out without having to go at someone directly, which depends on your taste, but some people like that, some people don't. Now, here's an example from Dave Gerhardt. Life is too short to work for a CEO who doesn't get marketing. So this might trigger some CEOs that maybe don't get marketing or aren't as into marketing, but it's gonna really attract marketers. So B2B marketers is the target audience that Dave is trying to attract for his community, Exit 5. So a B2B marketer is gonna see that and think, yes, I resonate with this, I love this, and they're gonna follow and engage and perhaps become a customer of Exit 5 one day. Also notice how he's not going after anyone in particular, so it's going after an idea. So it's polarizing, but it's not unprofessional in any way. Here's another example from Alina from Chili Piper. Notice the hook. My friends who sell marketing attribution software will hate me for saying this, but they're kind of leaning into that negativity bias. And again, it's a hot take. It's potentially polarizing, but it's not unprofessional at all. It's not attacking anyone in particular. And I like this one from Austin Hughes. This is a variation of a hot take post where it's like comparing a good thing versus a bad thing in your industry. So a good growth team versus a bad growth team, or in this case, a good outbound team versus a bad outbound team. Just making it very clear what great looks like. This is a great way to kind of insert your views and your company's views into that and start to get your audience believing those things. So for example, with this post from Austin, this idea of like plays or having specific automated plays that you run with your outbound is something that Unify is really big on. So kind of subtly alluding to this in the content is a great way to plant that seed in his audience's mind. So it's not a direct sale, but again, you're just starting to insert these ideas that you want your audience to believe over and over again through your content on LinkedIn, and eventually they'll be ready to buy. Now, the fifth and final bucket is going to be your social proof or case studies. And like I mentioned earlier, one of the questions that every buyer is asking themselves is who else has used this product that's similar to me? So sharing case studies or social proof is a great way to do that. And it's actually one of the simplest content formats. So here's an example. Pretty much on LinkedIn, all you got to do is just say, excited to share this case study with whatever company, lead into the backstory, share results, give a call to action. That's pretty much it. You'll also want to have a simple graphic to go with it that shares the actual tangible result they got. A case study quote or a testimonial quote is a great thing to include as well. And it's actually quite simple. So this example from Alex is great. Notice the hook, backstory, results, overcoming objections. So no code, no developer needed, which might be a common objection for a product like Proxima. Just 5 minutes a day is all it took. So again, showing how it was easy for this user. And a lot of times you'll have these case studies on your site anyway. If you don't, that's got to change too. But you can just take those and turn them into LinkedIn content. Here's another example from Adrian. Follows the exact same format, kind of announcing a case study, backstory, the initial challenge, the solution, and then results, and then a case study quote directly from the founder they worked with, and a call to action to check out the full case study. It doesn't have to be complex. And what you'll notice about a lot of this content for LinkedIn is it's effective, but it's also simple. I don't want this to be some nebulous strategy that is impossible to implement. You're a busy founder or a busy marketer. I want you to be able to post consistently without having to worry about, oh my gosh, I don't know what to post today, or oh my gosh, I have this idea, but it's going to take me 5 hours to implement. This should be super quick. So I mentioned earlier in the video that a lot of people will struggle with creating content because they think that it's going to take them a lot of time to do. And yes, it does take some time. It's not completely hands off. It does take effort. Like anything worth doing, it's going to take effort, but it doesn't take as much as you think. The exact workflow that I follow, that I recommend any founder or marketer would follow if they start creating content on LinkedIn, is to commit to writing every day. So I like the idea of frequency because think about it like going to the gym. If you're going to the gym 1 time per week, it's not going to work really well, but you got to go 3, 4, 5 times per week to build that skill of lifting the weights and getting used to going to the gym. Same thing with writing content. What I would recommend is pick 30 minutes of your day to dedicate to writing LinkedIn content. What that's going to do is by writing every day, you're going to build the skill more effectively. This is going to work better for you than if you're just going to batch your content 1 day per week. Early on, that's not a great strategy because again, you don't get that opportunity to practice every day. Do it when you're most creative. For me, this is first thing in the morning. For you, it might be in the evening if you're a night owl. Really, whatever that time frame is, just dedicate that 30 minutes, protect it with your life. Don't let meetings get booked over it. Don't let anything get booked over it. What I also recommend is have 1 day per week where you do have a larger block. So for me, I write 30 minutes every day. And then on Sundays, which is my preference, I'll dedicate 3 or 4 hours to a more creative work session. This is the best workflow that works for me as a busy founder who also has a ton of meetings, a team to manage. I like having that longer time as well because it allows me to work on like longer form pieces. So how many times per week should you post though? And there's levels to this. Level 1 is like you're just getting started, the bare minimum, 3 times per week. I wouldn't go less than 3. 3 times per week is the bare minimum, especially on LinkedIn, to build that consistency and get the data points to understand what works and what doesn't. Now, level 2 is you're starting to get more consistent, you're getting more comfortable. 5 times per week is a good place for most founders to be. And this is where most of our clients are. You don't really need to go higher than this. If you're posting 5 times per week, you're in a great spot on LinkedIn. This is sort of the average or slightly above average cadence that I'd recommend. Now, if you love content creation, you want to post more often, you want to post on the weekends, go to 7 times per week. So once per day, every single day. I'll get here sometimes, but honestly, I still fluctuate between 5 to 6 times per week on LinkedIn. That's what works best for me in my schedule right now. And like I said, that level 2 zone, that 5 times per week, is where I'd recommend most founders be and stay consistently. So if you can just set these realistic goals to create content and follow those content buckets I laid out, that's a pretty much exact content calendar for you to just copy. And you can run that every single week and you're gonna grow an audience on LinkedIn. That's exactly what I'd recommend you do if you're a founder, freelancer, solo marketer, whatever your situation is and you wanna start posting on LinkedIn, just copy this playbook. Commit to it for 6 months and I think you'll be happy with the results that you get. And that's my fully up-to-date LinkedIn content strategy that I'm using right now. now. And to be honest, there's actually a lot more in general on LinkedIn that I couldn't go over in this specific video. And as someone who's been heavily involved in the platform for almost 7 years now, I've got a lot of advice to give. So click here to check out the next video where I pretty much distill that entire 7 years of LinkedIn experience down into 31 minutes. I'll see you over there.